There we go. Thank you.
All right. So my name is Dr. Lucy McKenzie, and I am the chair and co-founder of K-NADS. And we are a total of 8 co-founders. So we're going to talk much about K-NADS. Professionally, I'm a healthcare consultant. I have been in healthcare since 1993. I lived in the diaspora for 33 years, longer than I have lived in Kenya, but I'm currently in Kenya. I'm also the vice president of the Global Diaspora One Voice, where we have over 60 diaspora organizations that represent over 100,000 Kenyans. And I also own I'm a co-owner of a company here in Kenya that is called Sauti Contact Center that provides call center services for companies in Kenya as well as in the United States. That's a bit about myself, and I am excited to be in your midst, international community of Banyakigezi. I wish I knew how to say hello in your language, but I also want to believe Swahili is universal. You know, habari gani? You understand that is our way of in Kenya of saying hello to all of you. So I am honored, extremely honored that I have been asked to come here and talk about the K-NADS story. So who are we? Who is K-NADS? Why is it even a story? We were founded on social media. So the power of social media cannot be underscored one bit. As good as social media is, it is just as bad. And you all know that this tool called social media can be used for good things, and it can also be used for incredibly bad things. So in July 2016, a random post in a women's only group said, what if all 6,000 of us were to each contribute $100 a month? How much could we invest in Kenya? The number was staggering in itself. And so there were so many ideas. I think that specific post garnered over 400 comments with different kinds of ideas. And so 8 of us got together and we ran with the idea. Other than, we had uniform stores, we had security firms, we had credit union, and the SACCO was also part of the contribution of ideas. But in that same post, there were negative ideas as well. I mean, how will it work? Who will run it? How does this, you know our people. Anyways, so the 8 of us got together, and as of July, I want to say July 26th, we began to actually truly speak to each other. Mind you, these are people you have met on the streets of Facebook. You've never set your beautiful eyes on them. You don't know them from a wall in, a hole in the wall. You don't know if they're good people or bad people. All you know is that the 8 of you seem to be going in the same direction. And so we put in a lot of effort. And before we get to the effort part, we decided, how about we do a conference call and see, is there even an interest for women to really do this? But the phone call was even more discouraging, because after we left, we were like, okay, are we really doing this the right? Are we even going to have members? And so we felt very discouraged initially. And then the second call that we had a week later, mind you, we have now narrowed down, we want to do a SACCO, But because many of us have lived in the diaspora for a long time, did not understand this concept of a SACCO, but we do understand the concept of merry-go-rounds or chamas, where you contribute money, and then at the end of them, if it's a monthly contribution, you give to one member, something like that. We do that a lot in Kenya. I don't know if you do that in Uganda. But as an African community, I believe many African countries do that, and they call it something different. So we call it merry-go-round. We also call it chama. And so the idea of having this many numbers of women, that was going to be more than 50, obviously, we're in a group of 6,000 women. How will that function? When will somebody get their turn to ever get this money that if you're contributing? Because we are thinking of the merry-go-round idea. So if you're 50 women, when will the 50th woman ever get their contribution that these other women are going to have? And so it took persistence, learning new things. And we're very, very goal-oriented. So we never met physically. We would meet on conference calls almost daily, just to iron out the things that needed to get done. So if I tell you that our first physical meeting was 4 months later, so you've been working with these women, you've never met them, you don't know them, all you know is their name and which state they're in. So I want to encourage you. We've got people in Canada, we've had people in the forum here from South America. I know we've got some people here from Uganda, the US. So that is to encourage you to believe that if we could do it, you can do it too. So who is our common bond? So when you start, once we established that we wanted to start a SACCO, we needed to establish who the common bond is. And even for you, when you decide you want to do a SACCO for ICOB, you will need to identify who is your common bond. For us, it was the Kenyan woman in North America, in the 23 North American countries, as well as the returnees. Before we even get to that 23 North American countries, we wanted to call our SACCO Kenya Women in Diaspora SACCO. When one of our board members came to Kenya to get us registered, she was told that you cannot have the word women in your name. And so we had to come up with a brand new name very quickly once the commissioner had agreed to register us. So even though we had worked on all our paperwork and we had these new initials of QUID, KWID, we had to change all of that to a new name. So what is the other thing I want to stress there? Don't be so rigid that you're stuck in, if you identify a name and you go to Uganda and they tell you you can't have it, don't get discouraged, because what we ended up with was a much better name. And why? We were blessed with more countries because our initial target was only USA and Canada. But now we got the North American part, which allowed us 23 countries, as well as the returnees of those countries. So I want to say we made off like bandits when the name was finally unveiled. So SACCO is a savings and credit cooperative society. Our common bond is women in the diaspora in those 23 countries, as well as the returnees. So for you, it will be the people of Banyakigezi. That will be your common bond. So you can have it with all men and women. It doesn't have to be women only. So you can isolate who are your target group by that. And you can say all diaspora people from that region, okay? So that would be your common bond. So what is a cooperative? So some of the things we will discuss is what is a cooperative savings and credit society, what need does it serve, how do we go about setting it, what are the society needs, what advantages would it have over what you already have established. Talking to Bridget, you already have some type of organization that already fundraises for certain events. So what will be the advantages of having a SACCO as opposed to what you have, or to complement what you already have? Are cooperatives savings and credit societies in the US, or do they have unions? How are the profits shared among members? Does the society invest for its members? How does a member borrow from the society? How much and what collateral is needed, and what are the challenges? And I shouldn't even term them as challenges. I should have labeled that as opportunities. I use that challenges based on our earlier communication of what we could have done or should have done better. So with what is a cooperative? SACCOs in Kenya, as well as in Uganda, they are governed and managed by members who have the same common bond. They are legal bodies registered under the Cooperative Societies Act. So in Kenya, to open a society, you require 10 members. In Uganda, you need 30 members to be able to open one. SACCOs are economic institutions involved in business activities for the purpose of making profit to grow, survive, and become sustainable. Talking about KNADS in this regards, KNADS wants to be the preferred SACCO for the diaspora. And why? Because we provide those opportunities that are well vetted, are credible for our members to ensure that they do not lose money. I don't know about your community, but in our community, many people have lost money. We get a lot of people coming to the diaspora to sell us things, whether it's land or it's real estate, land in the middle of nowhere. The shady people who come up with all kinds of businesses, ideas, and the diaspora funds for those. And so we need to have an opportunity where our members can comfortably and securely be able to invest their money in well-vetted products of credible vendors. And that is why we believe that we created a very good avenue for our members to be able to invest in all kinds of businesses. And we do have a public limited company, which is called K-NADS PLC. So first things first, okay? These are things, if we were to do K-NADS again, you know, starting now, 2021, if we were to be able to have an opportunity to restart K-NADS, these are the things we should have done. And I believe we would be catapulted much further than we already are. Not to say we are not successful, but I believe if we had had these things in place ahead of time, we would be much, much further. So for you as a new circle, that is in the formation or in the stages of thinking of how you can grow your investment portfolios, this is how I would recommend that you raise startup funds for administration purposes. You want to hire employees who are knowledgeable to run the SACCO and not depend on your board to run the SACCO. Why? You all are already working. If you're living in the diaspora, you're already working and you already have a full-time job or 2 jobs or 3 jobs. You have a part-time gig, you have a side hustle. And so you don't have the skills and the time to manage your SACCO effectively. This is an area that as KNADs, we did not do well. Okay, and so we can feel the strains of that. And what happens is you begin to have burnout. Okay, when your members are calling you, Bridget, hey, Bridget, I registered and my application form has not been processed. Okay, Bridget, you've worked a double, or you have just come from work, you have not even eaten all day. Okay, you've had these similar calls all week, and because we are in the diaspora, we live in the microwave age. I submit my application and I submit my registration fee, and Bridget should be sitting at the computer waiting for my application that I did not tell her I was going to submit, for her to process it. And if I am late, I will definitely hound her to Kingdom Come. Okay, so this is why I recommend that you hire people to do this job, and the way to pay them is by you having that startup fund that is for administrative purposes. Get the board and the management team trained. Why? You know, like right now, you're in the formation stages or you're in the thinking stages. You are such buddies, okay? You are like this. You're huggies and you're folding arms and you're so cute and all that. There will come a time when that will not be the case. And for that, you need to be trained so you know how to handle when those situations arise, okay? When you disagree as a board, what do you do? When management doesn't do its job, how do you handle that? And how do you implement those things that you have promised the rest of your community you will do? Okay, you cannot do them when you are not in unison and you have not been well trained on how to handle that. Developing policies and procedures, ooh, you will thank me for that. You can write this and take this to the bank. If you don't have this ahead of time, please remember to call me a few years and remind me, you remember you told us to do policies and procedures? We didn't do it. Now it's coming to bite us. So make sure these are in place. What is going to be the hindrance of you getting this in place? Amongst yourselves, you will say, this costs money. But let me tell you, let it cost you money upfront. Because if you're trying to do it on the back end, cheap is expensive, by the way. Cheap is very, very expensive. So get a good consultant who will help you with your policies and procedures, and you will be very, very far ahead. Develop your strategic plan. Hello? Hello? Okay. Develop your 5-year strategic plan in these stages where you're like this. That's when you want to form it. Don't try and form it when you have already you. So when you are huggies, that's the time you sit down and you can listen to Emmanuel's idea, you can listen to Bridget's idea, you can listen to everybody's idea on how you want all your entire community to benefit from this SACCO, okay? Because SACCOs are member driven and they are not individual driven. The minute you allow number 31, I told you in Uganda, you require 30 people to register the SACCO, correct? The day member number 31 ingias that SACCOs, enters that SACCO, guess what? You no longer are a SACCO owned by these 30 people. It is now members. So member number 31 has a say. Okay, so I hope that point is well received. okay? Remember, even as a board, you have to vote. The vote carries the day. And there will be days that, Bridget, you will bring your idea to the table, and guess what? We will say, no, we don't want to do that. But Emmanuel may bring an idea and we fall for that idea. So because we have not taken your idea at this time, Bridget, you shouldn't be so aggrieved, because this SACCO is not yours. It belongs to now the 30 plus number 31, right? And we have to look at the SACCO to benefit this entire group and not individuals, me, myself, and I, okay? Once you're able to get over that part, I think you can move so much further ahead. There are different, these are the 4 types of SACCOs that are in Uganda. In Kenya, we have 7 types. So I did put the slide up, and I will share my slides when we are done, so that you can have something to go over and look at when you have time. So you do have these different types of SACCOs in Uganda. You have the primary societies, the secondary societies, the tertiary, and then the apex society. And this apex is when 2 societies. The good thing about societies is that they are not individualistic. They like to collaborate rather than compete. And so even as diaspora SACCOs, because now on the Kenyan side, we currently have, I believe, 19 or so diaspora SACCOs. Before, we were very individualistic, okay? But now we actually even have a WhatsApp group for all the leaders where we are able to exchange ideas and even talk about things that can be innovative, that can benefit all our SACCOs together. And so apex societies is when 2 or more societies actually combine and work together. Okay, so with KNADS, we are just a primary kind of society. We are the savings and credit. We do not, we are not an investor kind of SACCO. That is why we have the investment side where members can opt to join and have the opportunity to invest in different types of portfolios. Okay, okay. So how do we get started, and what do we need to do? So in Uganda, that's why I have this app for you, so you can be able to see what you will require once you decide to go the SACCO route. It's implemented through like the Tier 4, it's like a microfinance institution. And this is the regulating body for Uganda. The authority plans to sensitize stakeholders on licensing process for SACCOs. Once this program is ready, the authority will inform the public. In Kenya, all diaspora SACCOs now are going through a new regulatory body called SASRA. And it is a pain because this is going to cost us money. We are needing to apply. It's going to cause us to, in a way, it's good for our members because now the regulations are much stiffer. So you cannot just decide and wake up. Okay, so these SACCO board members feel like they want to go buy a building. No, we can't just do that. So SASRA, and just like you're going to be regulated by UMRA, makes sure that you stay within your core mandate of your business. And for K-NADS, our core mandate is savings and credit. So what they will do is ensure that that core mandate that we have is what we are doing and not doing whatever else we want to do. So what are the requirements? The requirements. So the cooperatives are legal entities, and obviously because they're legal entities, they are governed. They also deal with people's savings. And so we must make sure that those savings that Ms. Goulda talked about, that they are protected. You see, before you start, you're starting with zero money, Cindy, right? You're starting with zero money. Then we have these 30 people. These 30 people put money into the SACCO. That money doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the SACCO members, okay? So we have to make sure that those savings that people are putting in there are protected. From the, I'm going to just ask a simple question. How many of you, all of you, this is the part where you participate, don't keep quiet, we participate. How many of you pay yourselves? Do you pay yourself?
Pay ourselves what?
Yes, you go to work and you get a paycheck, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Let me get a piece of paper. So you get your paycheck, and Golda made a very good point here, that once you have your money, you have to be able to pay your bills. If you put money in your savings account, do you think you're saving? If you go and take money out of that savings account to pay bills, do you think you're saving?
No.
So you're not paying yourself. I just need a page. So I'm about to do a demo. Allow me to do this. So my employer on Friday pays me this big check. Yay, right? And then I pay my rent at the end of the month. I buy food. I pay my car note. I pay my insurance. We need to eat out at least one time. And then I gotta go do my nails if I'm a woman. When did I ever pay myself? And my check is gone. Gone. Kapoof. I have to wait for the next paycheck. And we do that cycle over and over again. If I am in a SACCO, I know by the 10th of every month, I must put in my $50 in the account. This is money. If I want to take it out, I have to borrow it. That is the sweetness of a SACCO. That is paying yourself. You know why? Because the only reason that will make you go take that money out there is if you need it as a loan. And at the end of the year, because we are going to loan out that money to, we have, people who are taking loans, they will say we give out 2 million in loans. I didn't take a loan, but my money is in there. At the end of the year, I earn some money. Yes. I'm building up on my investment money, and I'm building up on my savings, which I was not able to save when I had my big fat paycheck, because it's gone. If your money is sitting in the savings account, that is for paying bills. Because guess what? If you live in the diaspora, let's talk about Kenya. I will talk about Kenya because that is the place where I know, even if you live in a village and you are finally ushered to go to the United States or Canada or out of the country, people believe that as soon as you land in that new country, you find a money tree. And they call you, oh, we need this. And Golda said something very interesting. You see them taking pictures, selfies on Facebook, changing their hairstyle, they have new clothes, while you are going to work. And you haven't bought yourself a new piece of clothing in like months. But them, it's easy for them to call you, and you can't say you don't have money. You are in the land of milk and honey. How do you not have money? And they guilt trip you with all these other people's families who have been doing this for them. You know, so and so. You know, in Kenya, that's what they say. The children of so and so, they have bought their parents a car, they have built them a house, they have done blah blah blah. You just left Uganda, or you just left Kenya. How you just barely found a job. And this person you're being compared to has been living there for gazillion years. Okay? So don't be guilt tripped. So form your SACCO, begin putting your money there, make sure that you protect the money, loan it out, and make money while you're sleeping. So while choosing your name, it needs to reflect who you are. It also needs to reflect your common bond. In Kenya, we can't put the word women in it because there's this new rule of the gender rule. So we cannot use women in our name. But we do have specificity that our SACCO currently is for women only. Okay? Are we together? Hello, what is happening? Okay. Tuko pamoja. I hope you're still awake and you are enjoying this as much as I am. So in Uganda, we need 30 people. So your board, your initial group to start the SACCO would be 30 people. In Kenya, we need 10. So these are the things that you will need. You will definitely need to fill out bylaws. That in your country, it says you need to have a minimum of 5 to 9 members to be on the board. You all need to provide certain documents to make that happen. And the model bylaws will be submitted to that department for them to give you a letter of no objection to move forward. So currently in Kenya, if you're a diaspora SACCO, we are going through exactly what you guys are going through in Uganda. With our new regulators, now we need to have totally brand new bylaws, which needed to be submitted for them to approve them for us to move forward. So each founder member will need to, I'm not going to read word for word because I'm going to submit this presentation to all of you so you can have it. So you do need to obviously have your ID, your photos. The executive team is the chair, the vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. In Kenya now, they've eliminated that executive role. We will no longer have people called that they are in the executive committee. It will be a totally different setup. Founder members will be those 30 that sign on the dotted line, okay? So if you want to be a founder member, you need to let Bridget know that you want to be part of the founder member status, and you are willing to put in the work and move your community forward, because you already are doing things. The fact that you get together when something is needed or to raise funds for for something in your community, you're already there. You're halfway in the door. So what are the advantages? Did I miss? Let me see if I moved too fast. Okay, so what are the advantages of forming these types of society? Why do I want to go to number 3 so bad? Okay, so one of the main, obviously, is that it is a legal entity. It is reasonable to start. So the cost, remember, it's not requiring you to have so much money upfront. Except, remember, I highly recommend that you get seed money. And seed money will help catapult you in hiring the right people, getting the training you need, getting your policies in place, sitting down with a consultant to write out your strategic plan. So those will be important. But the actual registering to have the SACCO is it's not extremely expensive. But the seed money will allow you to have a website. So when you're telling your new, when you're recruiting members, they ask you, hey, how do I get more information about you? Then you can send them to your website. So it will be a nicely well done, professionally done website. The nature of SACCOs is voluntary. And that means anybody who is within your common bond can apply, okay? But as board members, you have the luxury to admit or not admit somebody into your organization. So that is something you can factor into your bylaws. The other thing is that there is not that, I don't know about Ugandans, but Kenyans, we like to know, what is my exit plan? So there's gotta be an exit plan of when I join this SACCO and I feel that it's not really working for me, can I get my money back? And so SACCOs are established in such a way that members can come in and join and come out just at their own leisure. There is a time limit. In KNADS, it is 60 days. You submit your intent. I want to leave. We say, we hate to see you leave, but we also want to respect the fact that that is your desire. And it takes 60 days for you to get your money back. What you get is your savings. What you do not get is your capital shares. And those the person has to sell to another qualifying member, or if they leave them within the SACCO, because they couldn't sell them to anybody or transfer them to somebody else, they would get dividends from those share capital. However, they would not be voting for during any meetings, and they are not members, but they would still be appearing on your registry as members of your SACCO. Number 3, remember I said something about loans? So we've put in all our money in there. Joanne's money is in there, Bridget's money is in there, Emmanuel's money is in there, Vincent's money is in there, Gulda's money is in there, okay? Then Emmanuel comes, and Emmanuel, forgive me because I know your name, and so I'm using you as my main example. So don't feel like I'm picking on you. So Emmanuel says he needs to take a loan. Cool. And we've established that these loans are, you can take 3 times what you have saved. Even better, okay? The percentage of interest is 1% per month, which works out to 12% per year, okay? So Emmanuel takes his money, goes, does whatever business he's doing. He's paying us back his loan with interest. Bridget, you didn't take a loan, but you're a member of the SACCO. So this interest that is being paid off by Emmanuel and any other person who has taken a loan becomes a surplus, yes? And so because it is a surplus, we distribute it amongst us members, all the members, with the exception of the required amount, which is 20%, that you need to retain within the SACCO to advance the business of the SACCO, okay? So this money of ours is making us money while we are sleeping because somebody else is taking a loan. But you as a member, if you are a member of your SACCO, you should not be taking loans in other business, in other institutions. You should be taking the loans within your SACCO so that you grow your SACCO, because guess what? That money comes back to you in form of dividends of the surpluses, yes? And you cannot sell what you don't believe in. So I can't be saying I'm a member of your SACCO, ICOB SACCO, but I bank my money in KCB. Then that means I don't even believe in ICOB. So I, as a member of that SACCO, should be banking my money there when I know I want to, as I know that I'm going to be taking a loan. So you want to establish, what will be the minimum amount that members will be required to be putting in monthly. And for us in KNADS, our minimum requirement is that people save 5,000 shillings, which is about $50 a month, as our minimum. Minimum meaning that I want to say about 60% of our members do not save the minimum. They save way past their minimum. So we have people who only save 5,000, but we also have people who save 1 million, high numbers. So we have people saving $50 and others saving $10,000. So you need to establish your minimum savings, and you also need to establish by what date you want these savings to be deposited. And if there is a fine related to not putting your money in on time, because in KNADS, I'm not telling you that that is how you should do it, but this is how we do it. By the 10th of every month, you are required to have put in your 5,000. And if you are late, we have a fine of 500 shillings, which is equivalent to $5. And this money that is in fines doesn't go into a big black hole. That money is also counted as income for the SACCO and is distributed to the members in form of dividends, because that's a surplus, okay? The good thing about SACCOs is that your liability is only limited to your capital contribution. So it's not like if something happened to the SACCO, they don't go after the members to pay off the debts, okay? Members are only limited to their capital contribution. Cooperative societies, they have played a very important role. In Kenya, because we have these various, the coffee people, the tea people, the matatu people. Matatus are those small buses where they ferry people there. So those are also in form of SACCOs. And then different companies, different organizations like the legal people have their own, the ambassadors have their own. So these SACCOs have truly changed lives of many people. In Kenya, there are over 22,000 SACCOs, and they vary in size from 10 people to hundreds of thousands of people. And so the goal of societies is to actually have a change and have an impact on the community which they are serving. So are there SACCOs in US? No. Unions, credit unions are what is similar. There's even an organization called WOKU, which actually combines conferences for both credit unions and SACCOs every year. They are run very similarly, but we do not have SACCOs in the United States. So even for KNADS, we are registered in Kenya, even though we are drawing our memberships from the North American countries. Credit unions do offer higher savings rate, and they do have a lower interest rate on loans than banks. On average, credit unions tend to offer slightly better interest rates than banks. on credit unions, they do offer basic savings accounts and loans, which is a very, very similar model to the SACCO. So SACCOs are primarily, what is a SACCO for? What are they for? Do they invest for their members? SACCOs are primarily for savings and credit. There are different types of SACCOs depending on the objective of the SACCO. So we have housing type, there's a type for housing, for investment, for savings and credit, which KNADS falls under the savings and credit. Before you start, you want to make sure that the 30 of you agree on what type of SACCO you want to have. So that when it is started, Joanne doesn't come and say, no, we wanted a housing and you guys started a savings and credit. We wanted investment. No, the 30 of you need to come together and agree. After you look at all the benefits that are there, which SACCO suits your community best. SACCOs are very safe. They are fairly safe. They are low risks, such as money, the MMFs are money market funds, treasury bills. These are the places where, as a SACCO, you are allowed by law to invest. Because you can't go and buy buildings, and you can't go and buy land unless it is for expansion. So this is what you are allowed to invest in. Why? Because they expect you to stay liquid quickly to issue loans, because they don't want you to our members to come. Now there's 40 of us here on the conference call, on Zoom. And we all come and say we want to get a loan. We can't say the money that we were given by our members as deposits, we've gone and put it in land. We're going to be shut down so fast, our heads will spin. Because you cannot lock members' money in assets that cannot be liquidated quickly. In times of Corona, I'm sure you've had, even like in Kenya, we have so many buildings that don't have tenants. Tenants can't pay. And now if we are the SACCO that owned the building and our members are coming to take loans because this is hardship money, they have emergencies and all that, and we tell them we can't give you loans because you see that building over there that has no tenants. Your money is locked there. And we can't sell the building. So these are the types of investments you can do as a SACCO: money market funds, treasury bills, infrastructure bonds, because you can liquidate these accounts within 48 hours. Okay? Yes, yes. You know, these Zooms have become, as good as they are very, you know, like now I would be, if we were in a room, I would see, are you people happy? How do I need to raise my temperature of my presentation? And then now some people, I can't see their faces. The person I'm seeing is Bridget. At least her, she's acknowledging. I can see she's nodding. So I'm hoping that the rest of you are doing the same wherever you are.
Yeah, just know I'm representing everyone.
Okay. All right. So how does a member borrow from a society? All right. Remember I said we need to establish as a SACCO, are we going to loan people money 3 times what they have saved, 4 times what they have saved? So if they have saved 100,000, are we going to give them loans of 300,000 or 400,000, depending on what they have saved, okay? So loans, I cannot overemphasize this part. Loaning people money is the bread and butter of your SACCO. If you are just getting people savings and these people are not borrowing, guess what's not happening? Their money is not growing. And guess what's going to happen at the end of the year? Knowing, and I know your people are the same as my people. We are not different. At the end of the year, guess what we will be asking for? Where are my dividends? You want to tell me you have put my $5,000 for the year, $600, and I am getting squat nothing for dividends? You need to create products that allow your members to be excited about taking loans. Okay. That when you're sitting, you know, when I said when you're all nice and warm and fuzzy, do a survey of your people. Okay. Know what products they want and let that drive your products that you will be giving or having available to your members, because loans are the bread and butter of your SACCOs. Remember, even when you invest your money in money market funds, the most you will get, for the most part, is about 9%. Okay, 9% per annum on that money. When you issue your loans at 1%, you're making 12%. Which one is better? Of course, 12%. Now imagine if we've given 100 people loans at 12%. See, that is good money, very good money. As opposed to having this bulk money that goes and sits in a money market fund and earns us only 9%. Remember, you still have to maintain, and at the end of the year, as your SACCO, you are required to withhold 20% as your reserve. Okay? So now, if you get 9%, once they take taxes, then you take the 20% for reserves. You have almost nothing to give your members for dividends. And if your people are like my people, they will be asking for dividends, even the people who barely put in money. In fact, the ones who don't put money are the most loud. Okay? The people who are putting millions are not going to be very loud. And the people who will be putting the least amount of money will be the ones who will be making the most noise. This SACCO of ours doesn't even pay us dividends. Huh? The leaders are not making us money, yet the members are not taking loans. But also as leaders, you haven't presented them with products that woo them. Come, take loans, okay? So a product that you could have is a construction loan, okay? Or being able to buy lands, okay? Those are products that many of our people who live in the diaspora, they want to buy a house. If they were willed, if their parents gave them a piece of land, they want to build on it, yes? They want to develop it. But if you don't give them a product that allows them to borrow for that purpose, see, they will just be keeping their money there in the SACCO, and they will be not motivated to put in high volumes of money in the SACCO because they have no reason to borrow. So they will just do the bare minimum. And then after a year, you've not given them dividends, maybe 2 years, they're like, this thing's not working for me. I need to get out. So you lose a good member, okay? So products are important. You want to make sure that you hire a credit officer who understands credit and can teach members. Remember because when you establish a SACCO, it's going to be in Uganda. It's not going to be in America or Canada. So it is going to be governed by the rules within Uganda. So you want to make sure that your credit officer understands the crediting part and can educate us diasporans the requirements of taking a loan. You must establish a credit policy and educate your members on that credit policy, because the worst thing you want is to have people defaulting on those loans. Remember, we are loaning people 3 times the money they have saved or 4 times the money they have saved, right? This money we are loaning them is not their money. Is all of us, the rest of us who are not taking loans, our money. So we don't want members to default on those loans, because that means that our money is put at risk. Okay. And let your and continuously provide education to your members, especially now that you're going to embark on something that many of them may not be very familiar with. Take time. Again, cheap is very expensive. So teach your members very many things about SACCOs, teach them about taking loans, let them understand what that responsibility is. And I'm telling you, as soon as your members can gain confidence in the products that you have given them, you will see that you will be growing by leaps and bounds. Remember I told you K-NADS was co-founded by 8 members, but it required 10 members to open the SACCO. Okay, we are currently at 1,680 as of Friday last week, with assets over 600,000, which translate 600 million, which translates to $6 million in 4 years. That is your story, because you're diaspora and you're driven. There is absolutely zero reason for you not to believe you can do this. Okay. And then your policies, let them guide you. Don't say, see, Bridget is the one who wants a loan. Our policy says we can loan up to 3 times. But because Bridget is our vice president, we can give her a loan at 4 times. No. Even if Bridget comes there and cries tears, you tell her the policy says the multiplier is 3, and that is the end of that. Okay? All right. Am I still on time, or am I taking too much time? All right. So how much collateral do you need? Collateral, when you take a loan, is defined by your policy. You can take, for us, this is how we do it. If you're buying land, the land that you're actually going to purchase becomes your collateral. Okay? So you don't need to know anybody else in the SACCO to co-sign for you or anything like that. Your title of what you're buying becomes your collateral. If you are not going to be purchasing a piece of property that has a title, then you will have to bring us a title of equal or greater value than what you are securing your loan for. We also have an insurance policy that every year, every member purchases into the insurance policy. This insurance is for in the event of death. So if a member dies and they've taken a loan, that loan is covered by the insurance company. It also covers for if the member has some type of disability that makes them unable to continue working to pay for the loan. So during that, again, the warm fuzzy time, research who can be your insurance carrier. That way, these things are already in place before you start loaning people. We did not do it that way. Again, I want you to do best practice. So what the mistakes K-NADS made, I don't want them to be the ICOB mistakes. You should, when you're telling your story, it's going to be so much sweeter. These are the pitfalls we could have fallen into, but we didn't fall into them. So make sure you establish an insurance policy that for all loans taken, excuse me, they are covered. Yes, yes. So depending on the location, the title being provided, a minute.
Sorry about that. So depending on the location, for us, if the title is a property within the city, the value of that land is higher. And what I mean is that if it is in the rural area, the value is valued at 75% of the actual value. Whereas if it is in the city, I believe it's either 80 or 85% of the value. So you see, depending on how the location is, the valuation of that land will not be the full value. So say I'm taking a loan for 3 million. The title I am providing has to be for 3 million or above, because if my title is, has to be more than 3 million, because this 3 million piece of land is going to be valued by the loaning team at 80 or 85% of its actual value. So what will happen is either I give them more collateral or decrease the amount of loan that I end up taking. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So as a SACCO, where do we get our monies from? So this big pot, and you see money is coming in. This is how the money will be falling. It will be raining like this in your SACCO. A lot of money. It either comes from members, it comes from retained surpluses, it comes from outsiders, and outsiders could be through grants, through bank loans. Avoid taking bank loans because the banks are going to loan you the money very high rate. In Kenya, they sometimes loan, the money in Kenya is loaned at 14%. Okay, so imagine us, we loan our money at 12% per year, but the bank is loaning us their money at 14%. We are already at a loss before even the money leaves the bank by a whole 2%. So that money that is coming from outsiders needs to be in the form of grants for the most part, or sponsors. Remember, when you have your AGMs, you will have sponsors. That money goes into this portfolio, into this pool as interest. Remember, we are paying interest on our loans. It's going into this big pot. Remember, some members become late, not by choice, but they forget to put in their money by the time that we have said they need to put in their money. So the money is coming in into this big pot as fines. Yes. We've invested our money out there in the money market fund or in the infrastructure bond, which in Kenya, it is, you get paid interest on those infrastructure bonds twice a year. That is money that is coming into this pot as income. So this pot of yours is going to be raining money, money, money. You will be looking and saying, oh my good world, look at all this money that we have rained into our ICOB SACCO pot. So the retained earnings, remember those retained earnings I mentioned, they are what builds up on your capital, core capital for the SACCO, as well as making sure that your SACCO is capitalized and has adequate finances to sustain any of its operations, as well as for expansion. So let's talk about a success story. This is a bank that is in your country. A total success. The Centenary Bank started off as a SACCO. And 10 years later, it had become a fully fledged commercial bank. Why? The people behind it were not selfish. They were not individually driven. They were collectively working together to see that the whole, which was providing economic advantages to those people in rural areas that were economically disadvantaged, an opportunity to be banked and to be able to access funding. So this story can be the story of ICOB SACCO. There's no difference. You just need to be able to work together and let this not be a personal journey, but a communal journey for all of you. So the idea of forming a credit SACCO, a savings and credit SACCO, needs to be something that you all want to do. And this centenary bank can be the story of ICOB SACCO. There is absolutely no reason why it cannot be. Because this is one thing that we do very well as Africans. When somebody dies, we all pull together. In the Kenyan community, when somebody dies in the diaspora, we pull together resources to be able to fly back that body back to Kenya. But we do have difficulties pulling together the same effort that we use to send somebody back here because they've passed away. We don't apply the same effort to build something. And so that is what you need. The same effort you use to fundraise for communal things that happen in your community is the same effort, if not more, to grow this baby called ICOB SACCO into what you want it to be. So what this indicates is the power of togetherness is much greater than the individual power that we all have. They say, there's an African proverb that says, you can go far alone, but you definitely can go so much farther when you're doing this together. And so remember, when you're trying to build a SACCO as an individual, the funds that you would have to deploy are so much more, and yet you would bear the risk. The majority of the risk would be on you. But when you are 30 people, you not only share the risk, so it is very, very well distributed and nobody feels the pinch. So we will be able to, once we set up ICOB SACCO, we will be able to eradicate poverty. We'll be able to create job opportunities. We will be able to have first-time investors, because that is the same thing we have had in K-NADS. We have had first-time investors in Kenya who had never invested and have lived in the United States and Canada for many, many years. We have been able to alleviate poverty for that woman who could not own a piece of land because she's a woman. And by customs, land is owned by men, or maybe her husband, once they moved to the United States, left, and he left her by herself. And so that alone is going to help us alleviate poverty of the individual and the family, and meet the SDG goal of, which is the Sustainable Development Goals that talk about poverty and equal access to funding. So there's so many things you can talk about that you'll be able to impact as a SACCO. The creation of wealth for generations to come. It does say that a wise man or a good man leaves an inheritance for their children and their children's children. Those are your children and your children's children of ICOB that we're talking about, not some other child from a miraculous place. The children of ICOB SACCO, those are the ones we're talking about, that we will create wealth for them, for this generation and the generations to come. Therefore, when you form a SACCO society, it is not just for yourself. It is no longer for yourself. It is for those dreams that you have had that will allow you to see yourselves in places where you could never have imagined. So what is your story gonna be? So I'm going to say thank you to Ms. Bridget for inviting me to make this presentation to all of you. I also want to thank international community of the Banyakigezi for even giving me the audience of allowing me to speak to you about the possibilities that are out there. And I know Uganda is known as the Pearl of Africa.
Let's make ICOB SACCO become that pearl of Uganda in the diaspora. So thank you so much. And I will take questions.